When the devout Muslims went into the newspaper Charlie Hebdo and killed those people, they were in an editorial meeting. There was a woman in there who begged for her life. She said she was just visiting, she was not part of the magazine. And the murderers let her live, and they said to her, convert to Islam, read the Quran, and cover your head. And from the way I heard it, and I cannot confirm this, but she was probably saying, yes, yes, of course, yes, I will. They believe that this is evangelistic. And I'm going to read to you a passage of this book, The Life of Muhammad, written by Ibn Ishaq, a devout Muslim, about 100 years after Muhammad's death. And this is, if not universally, almost universally declared to be the best historical writing of Muhammad's life. It is loved and revered throughout the Muslim world, okay? This is one of their primary sources. This is not to be scoffed at. This is not written by somebody who doesn't like Islam. They believe that it's evangelistic because they see themselves in a narrative, all right? If you're a Christian, you see yourself, if you're a devout Christian, you're really trying to follow the Lord, you see yourself in a narrative of Christ's life, Christ's words. Jesus said, pick up your cross and die to yourself. The scriptures teach us to evangelize for Christ. We might look at the book of Acts and look at the early church, and we see ourselves in that narrative. If you are Protestant, maybe you see yourself in trying to become like, oh good grief, the preacher of London, Charles, I can't remember his last name. Or if you're Catholic, you would want to be like various saints throughout church history, because it's a narrative. You see yourself in this narrative. The Muslims have a narrative, all right? The Muslims have a history of Muhammad's life, of his early associates, his closest companions, all right? The rightly guided caliphs, the people who succeeded him as leaders. They have this narrative, and they see themselves in the narrative, just like you see yourself in the narrative of Christianity. So if we're going to understand Islam, if we're going to understand what these murderers did, we've got to learn their narrative, not what we wish it was. I mean, the president of France gave an asinine statement. French President Francois Hollande said that the people who were killed in the grocery store in the other attack, he said that these were terrifying, it was a terrifying anti-Semitic act, and that the terrorists were, quote, fanatics who have nothing to do with the Islamic religion. He's an idiot. I'm not trying to be rude, I'm not trying to be impolite, but he's an idiot. That's simply not true. And it's an insult to devout Muslims. What do you mean they don't have anything to do with the Islamic religion? They were doing what they were doing because they were carrying out the dictates of Sharia law to kill people who mock Muhammad. The end. And where does that begin? Where does that start? Well, it starts with the life of Muhammad himself. If you look in this book on pages 675, 676, you will see that there were 3 people who were murdered with Muhammad's blessing, and 2 of them, he ordered them to be killed, sought out killers. You'll see that there's a connection to evangelism. So there was a woman. Her name was Marwan's daughter, all right? Aluma, Marwan's daughter. And he said, when the apostle heard what she had said, because she had written some poetic verses, pretty inane stuff, mocking Muhammad. But it was really inane. It wasn't blistering. So he said, who will rid me of Marwan's daughter? And Umar, who was with him, heard him, and that very night he went to her house and he killed her. In the morning he came to the apostle and told him what he had done. And he said, Muhammad said, you have helped God and his apostle, O Umayyar. When he asked if he would have to bear any evil consequences, the apostle, that's Muhammad, said, 2 goats won't butt their heads about her. So Umar went back to the village. And there was a great commotion among Katma that day about the affair of Bint Marwan. Bint Marwan is the daughter of Marwan. She had 5 sons. And when Umar went to them from the apostle, from Muhammad, he said, I have killed Bint Marwan. O sons of Katma, withstand me if you can. Don't keep me waiting. So he goes and he confronts her 5 sons and says, you want vengeance? Here I am right now. Don't keep me waiting. And it says that this was the first day that Islam became powerful among the people of Katma. Before that, those who were Muslims concealed the fact. The first of them to accept Islam, the day after Bint Marwan was killed, the men of Katma became Muslims because they saw the power of Islam. The day after she was murdered, the men of the city became Muslims. Why? Because they saw the power of Islam. What was the power of Islam? That Muhammad would have you killed if you mocked him. That the murderer came and challenged her 5 sons and they didn't have the courage to avenge their mom. All right? This is the power of Islam. And they converted to Islam. It's evangelistic. Okay? It's not just a judgment from Sharia law to kill those who mock Muhammad, but it's an evangelistic tool. That's why they said to her, read the Quran, convert to Islam, cover your head. Okay? They see themselves in this narrative. They know these stories. And they believe that when they carried out those murders, that it will have the effect on some people of them converting to Islam from fear, just like the people of Katma did from fear. They're okay with it being because of fear. Totally okay with it. Because that's what Muhammad did. I'll be right back.
That was awesome!
Do you want to get America out of the hands of wicked and unjust men and women who are destroying the republic before our eyes, and put leadership back into the hands of righteous men and women so that we don't die as a nation? Well, you're talking about social revolution, and there are rules in social revolution. We can look at the victorious social revolutions of the past, such as the end of slavery, the end of child labor, women's voting rights, the end of segregation, and so much more, and learn from their victories. Look at their actions, their images, their rhetoric, their sacrifices, and their final fruit. We will send you this series that originally cost $129, 7 books for students, 1 teacher's guide, if you'll give a gift of any size and just pay for shipping and handling. Take advantage of it today.